You're tuned in to The Keetra Show and listening to SOB, Style of Business, the podcast with your host, Keetra. We aim to highlight the ongoing trek of entrepreneurs and business owners from around the globe, featuring stories that recount their struggles, experiences, and inevitable road to success and self-fulfillment. Welcome to SOB.
This podcast is being brought to you by my inspiring new book titled Courage is a Muscle, Using Heart to Power Your Entrepreneurial Dreams. You can grab your copy today on Amazon.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in and checking out another hot episode of SOB, Style of Business, the podcast. This is your host, Keetra. And today I have another awesome guest. I'm talking to a good friend who is the founder and creator of Gratitude Plus. And you guys definitely don't want to miss this awesome conversation. We're going to be talking about all things wellness. We're going to be talking about mindset in general, and just anything that's going to help get you in a better, better, a better mental state. I've had the pleasure of having Daniel on the podcast previously, a while back when we first kicked off, but we're back because he has some great things going on, new stuff happening, and of course, it's been a while, so it's good to connect. Anyway, without further ado, let me introduce you guys to Daniel Shaffer. And like I said, he's the founder and creator of Gratitude Plus. So Daniel, what's up, my good friend? How you doing? How's everything going?
Hey, Keetra. It's great to be back. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, no, definitely. Looking forward to the conversation and just excited with all the movement. I know Gratitude Plus is moving in the right direction. There's a lot of new developments. I'm pretty sure you're going to be sharing with us as well. So let's start by dropping that introduction, like a quick background. And for the people who are not familiar, just kind of give us an intro as to who you are and some of the things that you have going.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm born and raised in New York. Been building and designing apps for about 15 years. I've shipped a bunch of them. Some have been on top 10 charts, a lot of downloads, a lot of learnings, failures along the way. Been early engineer at a few different startups. But for the last few years, I've been really heads down focusing on really my true passion, which is Gratitude Plus. And that's a wellness platform that offers simple and effective mental health tools and the supportive community in one app. So that's what I've been working on the last few years, focused on making the product as good as we can for customers to really help them. And ultimately, the goal for what we're doing is making mental health easier and accessible for everybody.
Yeah, no, and you guys have been doing a wonderful job because even in my experience of using the app, I find it, sometimes when you're able to kind of take a few minutes to reflect on what you're thankful for, just, expressing gratitude and just kind of calming down and slowing your mind down, it really does help to align your energy and more importantly, really your thoughts as well, so that you can have a better and a productive day. So excited to be talking a little bit about that. Let's start with the inspiration. For those who do not know, because there are people I'm sure that may have recognized you on the previous conversation we had years ago. But let's start there again and just kind of give us a revamp of what inspired you to really get this off the ground.
Yeah, well, look, Gratitude Plus honestly came out of a journey I have with grief. 2019, I tragically suddenly lost my mom. She passed away, and I was working at a company called Thrive Global, which was focused on stress and burnout at the time. I decided to take a leave of absence from the company. First thing I did was join a grief group, which really gave me the community feeling that I needed, and that was so helpful at the time. But honestly, I was looking for any way I could to cope, to get through each day, because at the beginning, especially with grief, but could be anything else, you're so entangled in it, and it's hard to think about anything else. So I was willing to try anything to see what would work. And so I downloaded a bunch of, the big mental health apps out there because I wanted something app-based, and downloaded meditation apps, journaling apps, therapy apps. I downloaded a bunch of them, and I was really frustrated with the experience. It was, between them being really hard to stick with, some of them really expensive, and you can only use once a week maybe, and so much fragmentation between having different ones to switch through, and then no sense of community. I really wanted to feel like I wasn't alone when using these products, and a lot of them are very much single player mode, like you just do it yourself and you're done. So I was really frustrated by the experience, and I wanted something better, something that fit me. And so I decided to create Gratitude Plus and really have two fundamental focuses. One, all in one place. I wanted to use really simple and effective mental health tools, and I discovered journaling, mood tracking, affirmations. So I wanted these in a single app to make it really easy to use so I could stick with. I'm sure we'll go in more, to build any habit to make it effective, you really need to stick with it. And I think making it simple and easy is one of the first things you can do. But also have an app that really had a sense of community behind it. You could go on, and I thought it would be awesome. What if I could see what other gratitudes people are sharing and send them messages? And what if I could practice doing this with other people? So with those two goals of the all-in-one and the community, that was the app that I built. And I got to use it with my grief group to, everybody liked it. And we could honestly see what we were sharing. And from then on, we've decided to continue focusing on building out the app, adding more mental health tools. We started off with journaling. We added affirmations and reminders, mood tracking, and then soon we're going to ship breath work and content and resources. So we're going to continue to make these easy tools. And, we really think of it, ultimately, we think it's easier to use than meditation, and it's cheaper than therapy. And not to say those don't work and aren't amazing, and I've loved using them when I do it, but we think there's a third category of the very simple, very easy. And so that's, it really was an origin story through grief, but it's given me a North Star to focus on.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you sharing that. I actually, I love the fact that you infuse like the social community aspect, because, that's the biggest difference that I have noticed. I've actually used a couple of them myself, but the biggest advantage that I've seen as far as you guys' growth and the things that you're doing with Gratitude Plus is the fact that you do have that community aspect, and you can see what other people are sharing. And, of course, you can choose the setting if you want it to be anonymous or whatever. But sometimes it's good to just have that because, say, for instance, you log in and maybe you are having a bad day. I know, at least for me, and there's nothing that I can immediately think of to share. But then when you go and kind of see what other people are grateful for, the little things that they're posting, there's also the affirmations functionality, which really highlights stuff. And then you say, oh, okay, yeah, maybe there's, 3 or 5 or 20 or 10 things. And it makes it easy to journal that and just to have that reminder, which the reminders are great. Sometimes having that reminder come in to kind of prod you when you're busy. Like I've noticed that's been a beneficial function as well. So you guys are doing some great stuff. So for the social aspect, let's talk a little bit more about how important that has been for you personally, just kind of having that community around you when you were going through maybe hard times in your life. And even now, just kind of moving forward, how important is that for you?
Yeah, look, community has been important day one for the product, but my focus on community and the benefits I've gotten from it started before then.
Yeah.
I mean, with grief, for example, I joined a grief group, and it was a really, it was an odd and honestly scary experience. You're sitting in a room with 6 other people. You've never met them before. You have no idea what their story is, but you know that you're going to ultimately learn a lot more, share a lot more, and hopefully make connections, or at least people who can talk to you about something that you're going through. And for me, that was grief, but for any sort of group, whatever it is, whether it's a church or a religious group, a community online, I mean, the whole point of community is finding people who have some sort of shared interest. So the grief group, or some sort of shared experience. And so it could be an interest or an experience. And the grief group served that purpose for me at the point, because everybody was going through things. So we could all kind of lift each other up. And when I left that and started looking and using apps, a lot of these products don't have that focus. And not every app or product needs community built within it. Yeah. But I thought for things focused on mental health, community could be super beneficial. And when the gratitude journaling was the first tool or product that I tried, because it was super easy to do, and it was a really, really positive habit. So that's why I was initially interested in gratitude journaling first. And all the apps you used, I tried out, were very much write in the journal every day, and that's that. And, just an idea I had was, can I see what other people are writing? Can I see what people are grateful for? Because, as you alluded to, sometimes you go on, I think, geez, I don't even know. And that can make me feel bad in a way, like, geez, I can't think of 3 small things. But when you go into this community feature in the product and you see people are writing about all sorts of things and all over the world, it could be big things, small things, that made me feel good. And sometimes it gave me inspiration, but it made me feel more connected, that I was part of this thing bigger than myself, and I was doing something that's positive that others are doing. So I think just from the root, it's really important feature concept to have. But then we can take it even more and figure out, okay, where people are sharing things, how can you connect with people? And so we have this messaging feature, and you can send little hearts or support to other people. I mean, one tap and somebody gets a message saying, somebody supported you from New York. That makes a whole world of difference for somebody. And I've sent messages to people, great job, just trying to be supportive, which makes me feel good. Yeah. And then they can write back. And I've gotten messages saying, your message changed my day or made my day. And so it just feels good on both ends to be part of a community and support other people.
The responses that you've been getting from people, like and the feedback, how do you kind of equate what the effects that Gratitude Plus is having in their lives? Like, what changes are you noticing since you've started practicing, journaling and having this reminder that, hey, let me sit down and think about what I'm grateful for, just having a few minutes within a day to kind of come to this space of clarity and a mental reset, if you will. How has that kind of helped you to, get on a better track?
Yeah, well, I get a notification in the morning and at night, and sometimes I write something in the morning and night. Sometimes it's one or the other, but it always makes me pause. Sometimes, if you're working on something, you can be really focused and you get in a state of flow. And then sometimes you're so in it that you don't really take time to pause. And I always tried to be more mindful. Like, what am I doing? Focus on myself for a second. And, it helps you kind of recap throughout the day. So the gratitude reminders, which could be a simple, hey, Daniel, what are you grateful for today? Or whatever prompt you want. If you tap that, whenever I tap it and it opens the app, it gives me a chance to pause and reflect. And the great thing is it can always be a nice cut in the day for whatever I'm doing. Again, the morning or night works well because at night I can think for a second, gives me a chance to look on my day and think about my day in a way I otherwise probably wouldn't do. And so, and once I do that, I can attach a photo and write whatever it is. It just is such a simple thing that you can do. But over time, it's gotten me into a better routine of being able to do that on a daily basis. And habits, routines are so important and that's why we focus a lot on like getting people started with a daily reminder. And then we build things like the public feed and other features in the app to get people to feel good about opening it up. Because I think if you have an association with using a product that doesn't make you feel good, then you might kind of have like a dopamine hit or being addicted to open it in a certain way, but you may not feel good using it. And so we focus a lot on how do we make a product that you feel really good doing and you feel better after you use the product, which I think is, in a scary way, a lot of the big companies today, dive into products and what it means, but they try to definitely have you focus and spend as much time as possible. And for us, it's more of how do we build healthy habits for people. And so there's a whole bunch of cool product stuff itself, but I think it all starts for most people with a daily reminder in the morning or night.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right about that because I have my reminder set on the app as well. And you mentioned something that I think is extremely important about how, you have a lot of companies that are focused on getting our attention, but it's like sometimes not in the most effective way, like not in the best way. You know, it's like keeping your attention glued to a screen, or, you know, whether a TV screen, phone screen, or whatever. And it's like taken away from more productive things that you could be doing. One thing I like about Gratitude Plus is that it does remind you to kind of come back and to align and to reflect and to really be focused on the things that you need to do as far as your goals. Like, tell us a little bit about some of the more forward-looking things that you guys are also looking to kind of delve into when it comes to just helping people better organize their mental state. And even like if, you know, the journaling, like I said, I love that because, you know, that just kind of prods me to set myself up for success. But like, is there anything that you guys are also looking to maybe expand into in addition to like the wellness and things like that? Maybe some other things that you guys are doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're working on all sorts of things. We talk to our customers a lot and see, you know, what sort of things they're interested in. And, you know, we work with psychiatrists, psychologists, all sorts of folks to make sure we're building the right things in the right ways, that there's deep science in it, that they work in the way they're supposed to. So we consult and talk a lot and think about what we're going to build. You know, today, like, as I said, we have the gratitude journaling as a big part of the app. We have affirmations and reminders, which you can get set up, like positive quotes you can say and get reminders from. There's a mood tracking feature. You know, in the future, we think we can add we always think about what simple and effective mental health tools we can ship with. So, for example, breath work has been something that we've been talking to customers about. There's a technique I called the 4-7-8 breath technique. And you basically breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, breathe out for 8 seconds. And if you do that like 4 or 5 consecutive times, it can lower your cortisol, make you feel much more relaxed. That's been something I've done in the past to help if I'm feeling stressed in the moment. But there's so many different breath techniques. It's simple and they're effective. And so that's a feature that, you know, eventually we're going to put in the product. We want to make also the app much more personalized over time. Yeah. As I said, you can sign up to the app and you have your gratitude journal and a prompt, and then you can choose different affirmations. But if we can learn better what sort of thing you're specifically focused on, whether it's dealing with grief or you're dealing with stress or anxiety or can't sleep, whatever it is, we'd like to be able to kind of tune the product much, much more favorably to help you out. So we might have a specific gratitude prompt. We might show you specific affirmations. I think we could do a good job at showing different content and resources and point people in the right direction to really fine tune it to really help. And I think that'll be great, whether it's doing, you know, affirmations first and then writing in your journal, or, you know, posting to a private group that you're part of. You know, we can kind of tune it better to help people. So there's a whole bunch of things. One last thing I'll mention that's really exciting is with gratitude journaling, people write down the 3 things they're grateful for, and they can share it to the public feed, as we talked about. They can also share it to a private circle. They're private groups. We call them circles. We see a lot of families use that. A lot of churches we've seen use it. Other sorts of groups. Seen first year college students are in private circles, so you can post to there. But we're really excited that soon you'll be able to record voice gratitudes. Oh, wow. Some people like recording versus typing, for example, and then you can post that onto the public feed or in your circle and then listen to what people have to say. And I think that's going to take it to a whole new personal level. Somebody had an idea for having a little switch, you know, if you're going to bed, to autoplay them. I thought that was really interesting, to go to sleep hearing what people are grateful for around the world. So I think we're going to continue innovating and building new features, and also improving the features people love to use today, such as journaling.
It's journaling, yeah, no doubt. All of those actually sound like great ideas. I'm excited to hear the audio. I know you kind of mentioned that before in the past, but yeah, that's going to be a really big move towards amping it up a little bit. You know, a lot of times you have some people who are more visual and audio based, so that's actually a good step. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this. And it's in regards to, just mindfulness in general, because there are so many distractions. Like for someone who is not easily distracted, well, I guess you could be easily distracted, but for people who kind of need that guidance or need a few steps or advice to get started in creating some sort of gratitude practice, like what are some of the resources that you would suggest, or even just like a few ideas or tips to get them started?
Yeah, well, look, mindfulness and taking better care of your mental health is more important than ever. It's always been important. Thankfully, I think the pandemic has made things a lot worse for a lot of people. Also, the prevalence of just so much content, so many apps trying to take your attention, I think have made people very unfocused in many ways more than ever before. And as you said, short attention spans. I think the great thing about today, the world we live in today, is that mental health has had such a renewed focus, and the stigmatization is down. I mean, much less than it was before. We have a ways to go. But what's cool is in the last 10 years, meditation and Common Headspace, give them massive kudos and shout out, have made it more okay and normalized to say, I'm meditating, which 30 years ago, somebody might be, what is that? Or, why are you doing that? And so it's become more mainstream. I think therapy, same thing. So I think, people, so basically because of that, there's a lot of different things people can try. And I always encourage people to try all the things, whether it's meditation, therapy, starting journaling, affirmations, breath work I had mentioned. There's a lot of different things people can try, and some are going to suit you more than others. I think it depends on how much, where you're at in life. If you can, as I had mentioned, therapy is great. It can be really expensive. Meditation for me has been awesome. It's hard for me to stick with. So I think a lot of it comes down to finding what works really well for you, where you have a chance to actually make it into a habit. Because if you do something once a week, it's just going to be really hard to start. So I think specifically with gratitude journaling, you want to make it easily accessible. I mean, this is with any habit building, but with journaling specifically, you want to use something that that's easily visible, where you can do it every day, hopefully where you can see reminders of your progress, because humans are very adaptable to getting into routines if they kind of follow this behavioral hook model that this behaviorist named PJ Fogg has talked about, where you have like a cue to do something. There was a book by James Clear that just came out that actually got really big. I think it's called Habit Building or Making Habits. So I think like with journaling, but with any of these, making it really clear, having a good notification or reminder to do something every day, doing it at the same time, all those things can help you actually really stick with a habit and start it to begin with. So for anybody interested in gratitude journaling, I definitely encourage you to try out Gratitude Plus. You can get a reminder. It's easy to add something. You feel like you get a reward because we have streaks. We have a cool streak system. You feel like, you're making progress every time you add an entry. You get a little, your streak increases. And we show you memories of things you have written in the past. And I think what's really cool for journaling specifically, if you start writing, it becomes amazing when you're a few months in to look back on things you wrote when you started. Yeah. And so you really feel that progress. And that can also be a really great measurement or mark how much you've improved over time. And so that's a few tips to help get anybody started with any habit.
All right, Daniel. So let's talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. Just any initial, tips or, just inspirational feedback that you could offer to anybody who's looking to get started and to move forward. Because I know it's always little hiccups and obstacles, but you kept going. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, well, look, I've been building and designing apps for 15 years, maybe even a little bit longer. And even before apps, I was doing websites when there was no app store. So I was doing websites. And I always loved to build and design and then really get customer feedback. I love the whole process. I love the fact that you could create something put it out there and then get feedback. And, I think for one thing, you're going to get feedback. For whatever you do, I think one, you have to start. So if you have an idea, just start working on it. And I think, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs or people who want to build things, and they're almost a little afraid to start because it could be a big project, and, you just got to dive into it. And then it gets easier kind of when you get into a flow and dive into it. So first, I encourage anybody to dive into it. Maybe I'll just give a little, kind of more app specific advice, but I think, the World Wide Web makes starting anything easier than it was. With apps, there's so many resources. Apple, for specifically, gives so many great guides to get you started with app building. So, and it's really easy to get started if you just literally type it in Google, you'll get tutorials. Apple does such a good job helping first-time developers. So really starting. And then I think a second part of it is if you want to build something on your own and just see what you can build and learn as just a fun thing, that's awesome. And you should never feel pressured that you have to try to build a company or get customers. Like, do it to your own enjoyment, whatever that is. But if you want to try to put your product out there, if you have an idea, then it's always better to get it out there and then keep iterating. Because you see a lot of people, you should feel like they can never ship because it's never right. So a really big thing, one, start. Just start building. Whatever it is, you could do research. You want to do, feel prepped, but ultimately, it's never too early to just dive in, especially if it's your first time. That's how you learn and get better. But then ship, because you want to actually get feedback, and then you keep iterating. Like Y Combinator is this incubator program that takes in companies that are just ideas, people working on it like crazy. They had Airbnb that they incubated, and it was just an idea at the time. And Paul Grand, who owns it, who ran the program, was amazing. He has a lot of really great essays on entrepreneurship. Highly recommend people read. He basically just says, he has this famous quote that a lot of people have hung up: just make stuff people love. It's just that simple. But to do that's really hard and takes a lot of work of building stuff, shipping it out, getting customer feedback, and then just this continuous iteration loop. And so, really that's kind of the framework. Start building, start shipping, and start iterating. Because when you start getting customer feedback, that's actually when things start. Because they might say they love it, and then you figure out how to get it to more customers. Or if they're not using it, what do I need to change about the product? So it's constant iteration, and that's the entrepreneur journey. And, you just got to keep persevering. That's one of the traits if you want to make stuff work. My own career has been building and releasing tons of apps. I mean, I've probably shipped 20 apps personally that I've worked on. Games, photo apps, location-based tech apps. Some of them I got so excited about. I had an app called SoundChat, for example, a while ago. And it was like instant voicemail before you could do it through iMessage. And I spent time working on it. I shipped it out, and some people used it, but it never grew. And I tried to iterate, and I never really found, the sweet spot of how can I take this to the next level. So sometimes you're going to work on it, and that was a really fun app to work on, but it just didn't end up working out. But you're going to work on stuff, and if you enjoy doing it, it stinks to fail, but you just keep moving forward. And so that I think that's kind of just the mental framework you need of like, if you enjoy you start. If you enjoy doing it, then ship it if you feel good about it, or even if before you feel good about it. So, my own journey definitely reflects a lot of try, fail, get back up, and et cetera. And it's really great that customers love Gratitude Plus. Nothing's more thrilling to me personally to hear people, like you, who love using it. And so that makes it all so great.
Yeah, no doubt. No, it's I'm telling you guys, if you have not heard of Gratitude Plus, or if you have not downloaded it, make sure that you check it out. And before we get ready to wrap up, Daniel, leave us a couple of words of inspiration. I know you just dropped a gem here in regards to encouraging people to get started with their visions and their goals, or just, anybody that's wanting to do something. But go ahead and leave us a couple of words before you leave, and then we will make sure we get the website and where anybody can reach out or download the app and all that other good stuff shortly after that.
Yeah. Look, I'll say Steve Jobs, I always shout him out as being my personal hero. I mean, what he did with Apple, focusing on just such an amazing customer experience, has always left a massive, massive impact on me. He always talked about design and what it meant. Most people think design is how it looks, but it's really how it works.
Yeah.
And that's been such a big concept to take in, because most people think it's visual, but it's really, how does the product help you? How does it fit into your life? How can you incorporate it in your life in a way that doesn't feel overpowering? So that's one big concept that's always stuck with me. But one other thing that I kind of was thinking about when I was going through grief is, if you're going through hell, keep going. And I think anybody who's gone through mental health issues, gone through the pandemic, a lot of people are struggling. It might feel overwhelming and overpowering, but there is a lot of help available. There's a lot of things people can try. I think, some of the things we talked about, mentioned today: therapy, joining a group, starting meditation, or starting a journaling habit. Start incorporating positive habits into your life. And if you just stick with them and really make them easy for yourself, you'll at least know that you're incorporating positive things. And positive, there's a whole field, psychology, positive psychology, and the wonders some of these things can do for people.
Yeah.
And so, that's something I think I thought about that quote: "If you're going through hell, keep going." It's from Winston Churchill. He suffered a lot of depression throughout his life, but he accomplished incredible things. And, when I was going through grief, I was thinking about that a lot. How do I keep going? But I made every effort I could to it. Let me supplement every day with all of these things to help me out. Didn't make some of it easier, but it was much better than the alternative of feeling like I'm giving up, not trying anything. So that was another quote that really helped me, and I think hopefully gives other people encouragement.
Yeah, no, those are great quotes, very powerful, and I'm definitely I'm sure that they will also encourage others. All right, and so before we get ready to wrap up, Daniel, let us know where we can connect with you online, grab the app, learn more about Gratitude Plus and all the wonderful things that you guys are doing. And also, if any companies want to reach out and connect and collab or anything, please leave that information as well if it's something that's separate. I will give you a chance to drop that now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as Keitra said, the app is called Gratitude Plus. You can download it on iOS or Android. Our website is gratitudeplusapp.com. Go there. We have contact us through there. You can download it, see images, customer testimonials, and whatnot. So we got all the info there. My personal email is daniel@gratitudeplusapp.com. So please, if anybody is interested, wants to chat, I'd love talking to other folks about this, seeing how I can help get them started either on their better wellness journey or an entrepreneur journey. I love both. And we're also on all the socials. We're maintaining that and trying to get a little bit better of a media presence and social presence online.
All right, guys. So make sure you grab the app and check out all the wonderful things that they have going on over at Gratitude Plus. Daniel, thanks so much for being a wonderful guest. Look forward to having you back on, and much success to you, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks so much for having me on, Keitra. It's so much fun.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on SOB. We hope this episode has been resourceful. If you'd like to check out the latest articles or follow Keetra's website updates, just log on to Keetra.com or follow her on Twitter at KEETRIA.